Welcome to Between the Pipes with your hosts, Archie and Wade. Coming to you live from Ontario, Canada. Let's go!
What's up, guys, and welcome to a very late episode of Between the Pipes. First one this year, I believe, Wade?
It is the first one this year, bud. It's been a long time, but we are back, and it is 2022.
It's been a while, guys. Apologies for the delays. A lot has gone on since the last episode. Had some personal stuff go on as well, and now I'm just getting sick, and we're back. It's been a while. Wade's been anxious to get back on as well, and here we are. Lots has gone on since I think the last episode was in November at some point, mid-November, early November.
Yeah.
So we'll get things going with, of course, our beloved Leafs, who currently sit with 55 points, sixth in the East. Not a bad record, 26-10-3. 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. They've been pretty consistent so far. Jack Campbell's been an absolute stud. Wade, let's hear what you got to say about the Leafs right now.
What more can you say? It's been a good start of the year for the Leafs for 2022. Austin Matthews, a little bit of a goal drought, which is weird for him. The last 3 or 4 games he hasn't scored, but dude, you got guy like Mitch Marner scored 2 power play goals, and before that, he hasn't scored in something like 80 or 100 games or something or whatever. So that's really good, or 80 to 100 power play tries. So that's good for him. Tavares looking good. Johnny Tavares, Mitch Marner, they're both point per game production right now, which is all you can ask for in a star player getting paid the amount of money that they're playing or that they're being paid. And Willie Nylander, what an awesome year this guy's having. I know that he still doesn't have the strongest back check that you want to see or fight in the corners, but man, he is an offensive weapon. No matter what way you look at it, any team would like to have a William Nylander, and that contract looking at $7 million right now is looking really, really nice in the NHL. So as much as Leaf fans and even NHLers and everything were kind of smacking themselves in the back of the head, saying, how did Toronto give William Nylander a $7 million contract when the likes of guys like Pasternak and stuff are signing for $6 and stuff like that, and Marchand's making $6, whatever. And well, it shows. Nylander's been having a great year. I think he's one of the leaders. I think he's behind Austin right now and leading for points for the Leafs. And he's had a really good, productive season, and he's a weapon. That shot, as you've really seen it come along in the last year or so. Anyways, I mean, the guy's been scoring 30 goals a year for the last few years. He's might be one of the quietest superstars in the league, to be totally honest. Not a lot of people talk about William Nylander because he's being shadowed by the likes of Tavares and Marner and Matthews all the time. But hell, man, this guy scores goals, man, and he's good at it. So props to Willie Nylander. And like you said, Archie, Jack Campbell, unbelievable. Up till about a month ago, he was at the top of every single goalie statistic. He was a top 3 guy. He's dropped a little tiny bit with a couple of goalies got hot in the last month or so, but he's still up there. I think he's definitely a top 5-6 goalie in the league, and you can argue that with me any day. Save percentage is looking good. He just looks like he's a fighter, and he fights for every puck, and he battles hard for the boys, and you can tell the guys in the dressing room really like fucking getting in front of him and trying to win games for him, and the fan base really likes him too. So Austin Matthews is Austin Matthews. There's not much you can really say about Austin Matthews other than like, wow, he is a superstar, man. It is so much fun watching him lace up the skates every night for a Toronto Maple Leaf. Like, my goodness, the things he does, he's still just, even with this goalless drought, man, his crisp passes, his vision, he's had his chances. I mean, like, you can't say that Austin has not been all around the net and had his chances, but he just makes everyone around him better. it was nice Mikheyev coming. He's had a bit of finish to his game since he stepped into the lineup after that long injury.
Mhm.
And how long have we been saying this, Archie? The last 2 or 3 years for Mikheyev. Man, guys got quick little hands on the speed burst. Speed is the factor for him. He's really quick. I remember I think it was 2 years ago or so, he had that foot race with McDavid, and he beat him. And it was no one had the puck. It was a race for the puck. They had the same kind of start area, and I think Mikheyev beat him to the puck. So everyone was like, "Whoa, Mikheyev's a pretty quick player." Leaf fans know this. Just the guy's so snake bitten, he can't bury fucking pucks at all. It's nice to see him get on the board. Michael Bunting, what a fucking savior after Zach Hyman's gone. You lose Zach Hyman to Edmonton in the off season, and boy, oh boy, like Bunting is a player. He's got some finesse to him. He battles hard in the corners. He gets into the dirty spots, and he scores goals. So I really like Bunting, and Kerfoot's having one of his best years as an NHLer as well, and that pays off. And it's a little bit of a less of a stinging sore feeling for Leaf fans just because of Kadri having such a phenomenal year. He's like top 4 or 5 in points right now. And the thing with Kadri, like Leaf fans are always going to like Kadri, no matter how you look at it. The guy was born and bred here. He grew up here. He did all he could for the Leafs when he was here. And it is exciting to see what he's become on the Colorado Avalanche. Even when McKinnon wasn't there, he was just totally like 2 points per game production. And honestly, Naz, as a fan of you and for all of Leaf fans, honestly, congratulations, and keep carrying that friggin' goal scoring streak, man. Like, this guy is just on a friggin' tear, man. And just a quick little thing. I know I'm rambling here, guys. It's been a long time. Let Archie fucking get into the Leafs here too here, but it is kind of cool though, what Kadri has done, just being a Leaf fan and talking about all the players all over the NHL. And I was kind of pissed off that I didn't see him get voted in for the AllStar game. That was kind of a snub. It's like, you want to see the players from each team represent their team. And I know that the NHL has a code, but at the end of the day, McKinnon had the quote, like, it's the All-Star game for a reason, and it's the NHL's best players that go to this game. And Kadri wasn't voted in or wasn't nominated to go. And that's just like, dude, even Team Canada, before we knew that we weren't going we weren't going across borders or whatever to go play for the Olympics, when they shut it down, they had the projected rosters and everything for Team Canada, and Kadri wasn't there. It bothered me just a little bit because I'm like, okay, this guy's having one of the best years of his career, but he's still not being noticed or whatever, or you know what I mean? Like, no one's looking at him as a caliber player to play for Team Canada when, hell, he's one of the best Canadian players in the NHL right now. So that was a little bit weird. But away from Kadri, kind of spent a little bit too much time on him, but dude, the Leafs look good, and Morgan Riley, TJ Brody look really good. Muzzin's been a bit injured. But overall, I really like what the Leafs look like right now, man. I think we're a piece or two away from being a real Stanley Cup contender. And I don't know, that's just kind of what I've seen in the last little while. Archie, after my big ramble, which is I think you knew yourself that it was going to start off like that as soon as you got into the conversation with me. But let me ask you, what do you think about the Leafs? How have they surprised you, and what are your predictions for this year? It's always kind of Stanley Cup with me and you, but realistically, what do you see happening for the Buds this year?
You touch base on a lot of things that we think the same on, and I gotta say, so we'll start off. Austin Matthews, yeah, he's a little bit. I don't even want to call it on a drought, because regardless, he still leads the team with 43 points. I'm not worried. I'm not concerned. He doesn't look injured at all. He's had his chances. It's just, some nights you're going to run into a hot goalie, and the Leafs tend to do that often. But not worried about him. He's having a great year. 25 goals in 36 games. He's doing great. Nylander, you said it best. I mean, he's got to be the most consistent player the Leafs have had And I'll be the first to admit that when he held out, I wanted him gone. I thought it was a lousy move. But now that contract is looking like gold. And I mean, he's just super consistent, great in the shootouts too, smooth hands. He's unbelievable. He's also 40 points in 39 games, having a hell of a season. John Tavares, a lot of guys aren't giving the guy credit. 38 points in 38 games this season.
Yeah.
What more can you ask for? The guy's not exactly 22 years old anymore, still producing, still a workhorse on that puck, still our captain.
Yeah.
No doubt there. Morgan Riley, I thought he was having a so-so season, but I mean, he's up there too, 34 points in 39 games. Obviously, most of those assists, but hey, you know what? He's getting the job done. Mitch Marner's had a bit of a slow start. He was also injured, missed a few games. And not only did he get those 2 power play goals, he got a shorthanded goal too. And now he's got a goal scoring streak going. He's got 28 points in 30 games. He's doing pretty good considering. Michael Bunting, absolutely one of my favorite offseason pickups for the Leafs, considering 100%. The value, the contract value versus Hyman. We're okay. Like, Hyman was hot for a bit, and then he kind of just coasted, and he's doing all right. But I mean, value for value when you're looking at contract versus contract, I take Michael Bunting any day. And this is still considered his rookie season because of the amount of games he's played prior. Not that he's in the running for rookie of the year by any means. There's way too much competition out there, but to see his name in that rookie race, I think he's number 3 or 4 among the rookies. It's nice to see. And the rest of the team is really doing good. My concern is Justin Hall this year. Not having a good year at all in comparison to what I thought he was going to have. To me, he looks like the odd man out once you start to see Liljegren and Sandin continue to grow and mature into their roles. Travis Dermott, I have a feeling we've seen him peak. He's reached the best he's going to be, perhaps maybe only in Toronto. But if the Leafs could upgrade their defense in any way by bringing in a veteran defenseman as a rental for this year to make that run, because they're going to need it.
Yeah.
Perhaps Justin Hall and Travis Dermott could be a package deal with something else, maybe, I don't know, depending on what you're getting in return, to a team that is on the outside looking in. A lot of rumors have suggested the Leafs could target somebody like PK Subban. His name comes up and back and forth every once in a while. Mark Giordano was another name that was brought up. He'd be a hell of a pickup for a rental player for a playoff run. I know he'd love to go back to Calgary, so I mean, it would make a lot of sense. Come play for your hometown Leafs. There's not much left in the season. Seattle, I'm not sure where they're going, if they're even going to make the playoffs or not. Calgary's having a hell of a run, so he may want to go back there if the opportunity presents itself. But if the Leafs were to somehow be able to land a guy like, doesn't have to necessarily be Giordano, but someone of that caliber, experience, big body, big shot, isn't afraid to hit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something we're missing, and we're constantly missing when it comes to our defensemen. We saw Keefe mix up the lineups a bit. He had Nylander, Marner, and Matthews all 3 on separate lines to start the game last night or the other night. He ended up mixing them back up again. I mean, our power play is looking really good right now.
Yeah.
Finally, considering on paper, it is probably one of the deadliest power plays in the league. So they're doing really good. I saw an interesting stat today about Jack Campbell, which I thought was incredible. He's in 58 career games as a Toronto Maple Leaf. He's 40, 11, and 6, becoming the fastest goalie to win 40 games in franchise history. Jack Campbell has officially become one of the best goalies in Toronto history, believe it or not. It's nuts because it's hard to have that conversation considering we got him from LA where he was 20, 25, and 5 in 56 games, in 58 games as well. So it's like he doubled his productivity and his winning when coming to Toronto, and he has stepped up to the plate. He's answered the bell. He's done whatever you could possibly want out of a goalie in replacing the departed Freddie Anderson, who's having a hell of a year after leaving Toronto. And it's good to see. unfortunately, we haven't seen much of Mrazek. He's going to be getting the start tomorrow night, and then they'll go back with Campbell and then back to Mrazek. So we'll get to see him play a little bit more. I'd love to get him a little more ice time too, because you want to not burn out Campbell, because it feels like they're almost getting to that point with him. He's played a lot of hockey for them this season, so if we can utilize Mrazek a little more, he's 3-2. He's only played 5 games so far, so get him a little more ice time, perhaps against teams that should be easier to beat. But then again, we've been snake bitten again with the whole 3-1, 4-1 leads this year. A little too many in a row for the last couple of weeks, but overall, I'm happy with where they're at. I mean, you can't win every single game. I'm happy with their power play clicking again and getting productivity from everywhere up and down the lineup. Mikheyev, I'm so happy to see him back and playing the way he's been playing. A few moves that I'm not sure of, they brought back Clifford, and sometimes I feel like he's not even there. Like, he's been so ineffective.
Yeah.
It hurts, because you'd think he would have brought that sandpaper grit back, and it's not there. And Wayne Simmons hasn't had that sandpaper grit either ever since his injury last season, and his game too. Like, that line just doesn't seem to be doing much. And Jake Muzzin hopefully comes back soon, but even when he was there, he doesn't look to be the same Jake Muzzin either. So hopefully he bounces back when he comes back from his injury, and we'll get to see the older Jake Muzzin back with his game. Clifford, I'd love to see a little more physical play. Same with Simmons. If they're not going to score goals, which we're not expecting out of them, I'd love for them to just body a little more, like use the body, be more physical, and show that presence, especially when you're up 3-1 and then you get scored on 3-2. Wake up your team. Whether it's yelling at them on the bench, do something. Get into a fight. You got to get some sort of momentum shift, because when they're up 3-1 and it's 3-2, everybody's thinking, oh, great, here we go again. Yeah. And it happens. It ends up happening, and it bites them in the ass. And unfortunately, we don't want that going into the playoffs, because that's just going to get into their heads. Stepping away from the Leafs for a sec with a couple of things you mentioned. So Nazem Kadri actually is going to the AllStar game. He ended up getting in through the last fan ballot.
Okay, yeah.
So Kadri, Stamkos, Gensel, and Troy Terry are the 4 guys that got voted in after the fact. Blows my mind that Kadri and Stamkos are on that list. They should have already been there. But so Kadri, absolutely 100% deserving of being at the AllStar game. It'll be his first one. And if there's any player I miss in the last 5 years that we've traded away, it is definitely Nazem Kadri. I'm very happy to see him excel the way he is in Colorado, and how I watched the game the other night, and he just looks different. He's picked up the speed along with the players that he's playing with, and his passing has been unreal. Tape to tape, saucer passes, no-look passes. He's making shit happen, and it's good to see. You know what? I don't hate on him whatsoever. A few bad decisions he's made in the playoffs that cost him penalties and suspensions and whatnot. But at the end of the day, he's a great player, and he's having a hell of a season in Colorado. And you did say he's up there. And in fact, he is currently top 5 in points. He's got 55 points, only 4 behind Draisaitl. So, I mean, he's putting up some points. He's putting up the numbers. Around the rest of the league, you got Chris Kreider somehow leading the NHL in goals.
What the fuck is that?
I saw that.
That's one guy I definitely did not see coming up in the goal ranks the way he did this year, for sure. Is this a
mistake here? You got Draisaitl, Ovechkin, DeBrincat, even Matthews, and then you got Kreider leading. I mean, he's only up by 1 on Draisaitl, but came out of nowhere, and he's up there. Defenseman Adam Fox is having a hell of a year again. But I mean, watching him play against the Leafs the other night. Great player, great defenseman. But I think so far, to me, the defenseman that I find most entertaining to watch in the NHL has got to be Cale Makar. That guy can, he crosses over at the line and skates that blue line like it's like the puck is on a wire with him. And it's just, he's got a shot. He can skate. He can deke. We saw that goal against Chicago where he completely spun around and went straight to the net and scored in overtime to win the game. Like, he's just unbelievably talented. and a hell of a defenseman to watch. Like that's one guy Colorado's got to not lose. Like they're going to run into some cap problems in the next couple of years with trying to re-sign all their guys. We saw it almost happen with Landeskog this year. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. A lot of people are saying Kadri might be out. Rumors suggesting Montreal might be in on him. I hope not. But I mean, Montreal needs all the help they can get. As you see, last year was an absolute fluke because look at them this year. Call it what it is, guys. I know I'm a Leaf fan, but you know what? The Leafs were where we were at last year, and we're doing the same thing this year. Still as consistent. Looking at a playoff picture, Montreal went from Stanley Cup Finals to bottom of the barrel. Like they're just – you can't say that, you know, Shea Weber and Carey Price are the reason why this happened. Two players don't make up the rest of the team. This team is in trouble. I don't know what's going on there.
Hold on. Archie.
What do you got to say?
Carey Price and Shea Weber did make up the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, clearly they did.
They're like the only team where it really fucking mattered. Like, dude, Montreal has relied on Carey Price way more than any other fucking franchise goalie has been relied upon. Like, Carey Price carries the burden of making the playoffs on his shoulders every fucking year he plays for the Montreal Canadiens. And it sucks, man. Like, you've even seen in the interviews, man, with like Gallagher and even back in the day with Pacioretty, it's just like, you know, we didn't play our best game tonight, but when you know Carey Price is back there and the offense like gets going on the opposition and they get around our defense, you just know Carey's there, and it kind of gives you a little bit of it makes you feel a little bit more at ease and relaxed about like the game, and then we can go forward and try to at least get one for him. You know what I mean? So that being said, you are right, Archie. Two players do not change the dynamic of a 25 roster fucking NHL team. You know what I mean? And what's happened to Montreal this year. And I know that Montreal fans are going to say, listen, it's not just Carey and Weber. A lot of their big guys are out right now, and they've been injured. Toffoli was injured a lot. I think the only fucking healthy player that they've really had is Josh Anderson without like some COVID protocol. But like Drouin's been injured. Gallagher's been injured. Byron's been injured. All their guys have been fucking injured. And I get it. But prior to them being injured, they were playing some bad hockey. And what the hell, Archie? We've been talking about it for fucking years, Archie. Years. When is Bergevin gonna be gone? And he's finally fucking out. And it's just like, man, that guy is one hell. I gotta hand it to him. He's one hell of a GM. He has balls. He's got guts, and I like that he's a GM that goes with his instincts, because not a lot of GMs will go through the statistical part of the game and all this kind of crap. But I feel like Bergevin was the kind of guy that just said, listen, I believe in this player better than this player, and I don't care which player is better on paper or whatever. This player is going to be the guy I want because he's a fighter. And he's got heart, and he's got skill, and he's got this. So I appreciate that, and I'll give Bergevin a little bit of credit, obviously. But man, I'm also kind of happy to see him gone. Like he's made some big fucking questionable trades and moves in the last decade. It's like, what the hell? But nonetheless, they did make it to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, and I mean, obviously their finals didn't look very good because Tampa Bay was just rolling, and you weren't stopping them. So kudos to them. But outside of Montreal, man, which team this year, Archie, do you really think has a grasp on maybe taking the Stanley Cup home? And we'll obviously, we're always biased with the Leafs, but we'll leave them out of the conversation. If it's not the Leafs, who the hell do you feel strongly about to go to at least a Stanley Cup final?
So I gotta say, Florida's impressing me this year. I'm not gonna lie, because it's not like, you know, they're blowing teams out. They're winning games with a lot of goals. They're having a hell of a season. They're, I think, one of the best teams in goal differential too. They've got a plus 53 when it comes to goal differential. Yeah, that's actually the best in the NHL, behind Colorado, who sits first in the West, who is also, I feel like they've been flirting with getting there the last couple seasons. So,
and I just want to interrupt you there, Archie.
yep.
Florida's been looking so good, and they lost Joel Quenneville as a coach through this year as well, which was one of the bigger reasons that the NHL and fans all around and me and you thought, okay, that's why this franchise is doing so well, because you took Bobrovsky over, and he's actually playing well now. He had a shitty year 2 years ago or whatever it was, but he's come into his own. And then you had Joel Quenneville. Joel Quenneville's a Stanley Cup winning coach. Without him, Florida's still dominating. Continue, man. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So, I mean, Tampa's still up there. They're right up behind Florida. Carolina, I was not expecting, but they're third in the East right now. Pittsburgh's having a pretty decent season. The Rangers are having a hell of a run considering their past few years. So, I mean, the East is looking very interesting when you look at the top 5 teams. So if I had to say the East, I mean, as much as Florida's surprising me, I don't know that they're going to go and win a cup because they haven't had a taste of grueling playoff series. You know, they did pretty good, but I don't know that they can handle it just yet. They may or may not. I don't know. I think it's too soon to tell right now.
I'll tell you right now, Archie, if they didn't play Tampa Bay first round last year, I think that whoever else they would have faced, they probably would have fucking beat them, man. I'm telling you.
And that's the thing, though, right?
That was a game 7 fucking nail biter, buddy.
That's what I'm looking at. Like, you look at, you know, is Florida a team like Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay is one of those teams that when it comes to the playoffs, it's like they turn on a different switch, and it's just do or die hockey. It's like old school, bloodied, battered. They will come at you and keep coming at you, and they just don't stop. And part of that is obviously, you know, guys like Vasilevsky is just a solid stud in net, but they just well-rounded. They've got a hell of a team that just battles through. I haven't watched enough of Florida to play to know how they are. I do see the scores, and I do see that they've been blowing teams out. They've only got 9 losses. I mean, they're looking pretty damn good. But I think it's too soon still. Once we come closer to the playoffs, and I guess we'll see where they sit in that playoff tree. They're definitely the team to watch, in my opinion, considering they'll probably avoid Tampa Bay in the first round this year. So it'll be interesting to see where they end up. The Leafs right now, they're sitting 6th, but they're also 5 games behind the rest of the teams ahead of them. So you take that into account, and they're up there. The numbers add up to putting them in that top 2, top 3 spot if they were all wins, obviously. But it's a 10-point difference in games that they're waiting on making up. So in the East, I mean, you could say I'll say Florida's that team to kind of watch out for, but something tells me the Rangers are a team to watch out for too. And I think the Rangers are going to surprise a lot of people heading into the second half of the season here. They're currently sitting in 5th, 5 points out of first. So I think that's my team to kind of look out for is the Rangers in the East. Of course, we're putting aside the Leafs here. In the West, I'm going to stick to Colorado just because I feel like over the last 2 years, I feel like they really are deserving of winning a Stanley Cup. They're such a good team, a well-oiled machine. If they can stay that way, they've only got 8 losses this year. Like, it's unreal. 30 wins. And it's just an incredible team to watch play too. They're a very exciting team to watch. They're currently riding an 8-game winning streak. They're at 17 games unbeaten at home. Unbelievable, hell of a stat, and they're the team that I'm gonna say if I had to pick from the West, it would be them. A few other surprises in the West: Nashville's number 2, they're up there. St. Louis sitting at number 3 in the West, and Minnesota number 4. So I mean, that's a top 4 that I probably would have only got Colorado in the top 4 midway through the season if you asked me a while back. So Colorado is definitely my team to go in the West. And if I had to pick my dark horse in the West to look out for, I'm going to say Calgary. Calgary is going to be the team that I think is going to surprise a lot of people heading into the second half of the season. They're already doing that. They're playing amazing right now. But Calgary is going to be that silent team for me that I think is going to make some noise heading into the playoffs as well. Where are you sitting on this?
I'm pretty similar to you. Colorado's just too good not to give them that upper hand. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
what they're doing is just incredible, and a good team like the Leafs, you know, the Leafs are up 3 goals on them, and Colorado comes back and stuns them and beats them in overtime or whatever it was. And it's like, you know, it takes a really good team to be able to do that, especially against a really strong contending team like the Maple Leafs. And just with the likes of McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen, and Kadri, and then Makar, like, I don't know, man. It's just, that is, you know, every Stanley Cup team has those, like, that core group. Like, it's just a exceptionally good core group. Like, you've seen Boston have it, you've seen Tampa Bay have it, and now Colorado has it. It's only a matter of time before Colorado wins Colorado a cup. So we'll see what happens. I feel like Kadri's in his prime, and God, what better captain would you want to lead your team than Gabriel Landeskog? I mean, what a fucking great captain. Great guy. Battles every fucking night. Scores big goals for you. And on top of that, he'll go and fucking knock your block off if you touch one of the star players, and he's one of the star players. You know what I mean? It's kind of reminds you of like a Wendell Clark kind of guy. You know what I mean? And you got to fucking love a hockey player that has that kind of grit and attitude. So that's really cool. So yeah, I'll say out of the West, that would be the team. And then the East is such a, like you said, Archie, is such a fucking crapshoot. Leaving the Leafs out of it, Boston's always looking strong. As much as I don't want to fucking say Boston's going to go far, they find a way to do great things, and they still have their core group there. And I mean, Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak are still really deadly, and their back end's still a little dry, I believe. I believe if they're going to go further, I mean, Tuukka Rask isn't really there this year. He's signed back onto the team on a 1-year whatever contract, but he still hasn't been playing. It's been Allmark in the back, and you have McAvoy back there. So other than McAvoy, Boston's defense is kind of just like, it's a little bit of a question mark for me moving forward. Tampa Bay is still strong. I mean, Braden Point, Stamkos, Kucherov, Victor Hedman, Sergachev, Vasilevsky. I mean, what more can you say? Killorn, Paquette. Still some players on that team that can do a lot of damage to you, and they're definitely really scary. They're still all in their prime, so they're a team to look out for. Here's another weird one. Pittsburgh last year, the last 2 years or so, not looking like Pittsburgh. Still doing decent in the East and whatever the last few years, but you could just tell they were missing something. Is it rebuild time? Is it this or that? But fuck, all of a sudden you got Brandon Russ playing out of his mind, and then you got this fucking, who's that kid that's leading them in points right now, man? I forget his name. I believe it starts with a G, but you add it, or whatever. You add in Gensel. Rodriguez. That's his fucking name. Yeah. So you add in Gensel. You add in Rodriguez, with Sidney Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and
Jeff Carter.
Jeff Carter, and I'm missing one of their players too. Russ, Gensel, whatever, Kapanen, and all of a sudden Pittsburgh looks like a pretty strong contender. Tristan Jarry playing good hockey, so that's kind of scary. Washington, Ovechkin. What the fuck? Guy's 37 years old. Doesn't look like he's slowing down at all. Still top in goal scoring right now, or he's top 3. He's second. He's like second or third in points or whatever it is. Like I'm not sure, but he's up there. He's got like 53 points or whatever. So he's obviously not slowing down. And then I know that TJ Oshie's injured right now, but you still got Burakovsky. You still have Kuznetsov. You still have Backstrom there. You know what I mean? They Orlov on the back, and John Carlson. Still a scary fucking team, man. So we'll see what happens. But out of the East, Out of the East, I think you talked about them a lot. I still want to stick with my guns from what I said last year. I think Florida Panthers might do something special this year, man. They just got a hard, gritty team. I think Huberdeau and Barkov and this Anthony Duclair and guys of the likes of that, or just Bobrovsky, I think they're ready to win a cup, and we'll see what happens. But that championship pedigree that Tampa Bay carries with them is still right there too. So I got to say it's going to be one of the Florida teams again, but I wouldn't be surprised, obviously, if obviously I want the Leafs to win the cup. That's our main goal. That's why we're fans of the Leafs. But outside of that, I wouldn't be surprised if Washington or Pittsburgh do make some kind of fucking run this year and do something special again. So that's just my take on it. I'm going to start with a question for you, Archie.
Yep.
Who to you has been the most disappointing team this year so far?
So I'd say there's a few, actually. Like, based on last year, this year, Montreal's definitely up there.
Yeah.
But given the fact of injuries and COVID and all that, I'll push Montreal aside for a second. Arizona's been a consistently shit team. Now they're battling with the fact that they're looking at potentially signing a 4 or 5 year deal with the university to play at a 5,000 seat arena to call home for the next 3, 4, potentially 5 years, while their new building that hasn't even been approved yet gets built in Tempe, Arizona. Get the fucking team out of the NHL.
Yeah.
Move that team. Gary Bettman insisted that Quebec is not in the plans anytime soon. He says they're not there. I guarantee you, if tomorrow morning somebody woke up and started selling season tickets to Quebec fans for potentially bringing back the Nordiques, they would sell out in less than a day.
Yeah.
And they'd sell more tickets to unscheduled games in Quebec than they will sell to scheduled games in Arizona. I don't care if Austin Matthews goes back to Arizona. That team will never be what Gary Bettman wishes they were. And it's unfortunate, but it's just, they got to go. They got to go. Move that team out of there. Not quite a disappointment, because, again, I kind of expected them to be at the bottom again. Seattle, I was expecting a little more out of Seattle. I honestly, I mean, they're no Vegas Golden Knights the way they were built, but I thought there was going to be a little more to that team. But I mean, to me, that's what would have been expected of an expansion team, not to have the Cinderella story that the fucking Vegas Knights rode. Chicago's a surprise for me. They're doing pretty shit. And given all the circumstances surrounding the team, all the negative shit that happened with them, I expected them to try to use that to build something better for this team.
Yeah.
And they're just struggling hard. So in the West, I'm going to say Chicago is my team that's kind of like I was expecting more out of them. In the East, honestly, the bottom 3 teams are continuously, outside of Montreal, you've got Ottawa and Buffalo that just love to sit in the basement. And I'm not sure those 2 teams are ever going to come out of the basement anytime soon, which is disappointing because both teams have a handful of really talented players, but the teams just suck. And I don't know where the bigger dumpster fire should be lit, if it's in Buffalo or Ottawa. And I'm excited to see Jack Eichel start playing in Vegas to see what he comes back from, and to see how much Buffalo's going to be kicking themselves in the ass when they see that they should have just let him do what he had to do, and he would have been playing for them still.
I know.
Yeah, it's a shocker. But to me, I'm going to go with Chicago and Philly in the East, because Philly's doing pretty shit this year too. What are yours?
So you touched a lot of teams there, and I totally agree with you with every word you said, especially with the Chicago thing. I thought with the type of team, with Taves being back and Kane and DeBrincat and Dylan Strome and guys like that, I just thought, you know what? They still have it. They signed Seth Jones. They have Marc-Andre Fleury. Like, come on, that's a pretty decent fucking lineup still. And They can't seem to put it together. But I got to say, the most disappointing team for me this year is a team that we fucking talk about a lot. And that would be, we talk about them a lot in regards to the John Tavares trade, the New York Islanders. What happened to the Islanders this year? Man, Barzal, Anders Lee, all these guys, Cal Clutterbuck, these guys look like a really strong team the last few years, and they've been up there in the East and battling, and it's just like, these guys, how do these guys keep getting wins? But you watch their game, and they just battle so strong. Every line comes at you. All of a sudden this year, they just don't look right. They know they're missing a fucking superstar or two now. And I think that the John Tavares trade is really starting to let them feel like, oh shit, we've had a couple glimpses of greatness with Barzal and Anders Lee and Brock Nelson and stuff, but that's not enough when Tavares is in Toronto, still a point per game guy since he's left the Islanders, which is something the Islanders really could have utilized and used in the last couple of years that John Tavares came over to the Maple Leafs. So that being said, that would be the team for me that's the biggest disappointment. And I totally agree with you with the Buffaloes and Ottawas and Seattles and everything. I mean, I had nothing. I knew Seattle wasn't going to be really good too, because I felt like they drafted for the future, whereas Vegas kind of drafted the best 7th or 8th player on each roster to try to come up with a competitive team that could maybe make a run and do some damage right away. But Seattle did a little differently. So we'll see what happens. Giordano is not going to be a Seattle Kraken by the end of this year. I guarantee you that. They will use him as a trading stone to build or get at least a first or second round pick or a decent younger defenseman coming over or player for that matter. And we'll see what happens, man. What else do you want to get into here, Archie?
Team Canada.
There's so much to get into. I mean, there's Evander Kane signing with the Edmonton Oilers. If you want to touch base with that, I mean, that's really taking a fucking chance on a player. Evander Kane has been kind of the laughing stock, kind of clown of not only the NHL but social media, as well, as he was calling out the Paul brothers for a fucking fight. Then we found out that he did it basically because he was bankrupt. Then his wife claimed that he was throwing games and gambling, and then he said she was lying, and now he's not. And then you had San Jose players coming out on camera and saying we could do better without Evander Kane on our team, and we don't need him. He's a negative energy. And then he goes and plays for the AHL team for San Jose, thinking that, okay, yeah, San Jose Sharks are going to have him back up. He's just on a fucking conditioning stint. And boom, they fucking let him go. And he doesn't dress in another Sharks jersey. And all of a sudden, where's he going? Archie, he's going to the fucking tire fire of the Edmonton Oilers. Welcome to the clown show. Like, seriously. To me, this is music to my ears. I'm sorry. Hey, I love McDavid. Don't get me wrong. McDavid is McDavid. He's changed hockey for the better. He's growing the game into some superstaristic, superficial kind of fucking... I don't even know what Connor McDavid is. He is the AI of hockey, basically. That's what he is. He's a game. He's not 99%. He's 100% fucking everything in every way, all the skill sets. And but Edmonton has just been the same Edmonton that they've been the last decade. They start off hot, or they start off cold and then they get hot, or they start off hot and then they get cold, and then there's issues. There's dressing room issues. There's players that aren't fucking scoring. Their secondary scoring has been shit for 10 fucking years, Archie. They've always had the top guys, even when they drafted Hall and Yakupov and Eberle and shit. They had the guys scoring, but they never built a third or fourth line for the boys. Now you're starting to see that again. Who do you have there? Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. Outside of that, who are you getting production from? They bring in Evander Kane, who is a cancer of the dressing room, apparently. I don't know. But they bring in this guy hoping for a shot, and let's see what happens. But I just find it ridiculous that out of all the teams, the 32 teams in the NHL, Edmonton Oilers are the ones that are going to pick up Evander Kane, man. I wasn't sure any NHL team would sign Evander Kane. I thought maybe they would give him the year off or something, or this year, and let him kind of figure out his life and sit back and kind of like look in the mirror and, okay, like I gotta change. I gotta talk to a shrink. I need to heal myself. But Edmonton's going to take a chance on him, and that's kind of interesting to me. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but let's hear them.
So it's funny because when they first even suggested the rumor of Kane heading to Edmonton, McDavid felt the need to come out and say, yeah, I mean, if he comes here, he's a good player. And if the fans don't like it, that's too bad. So it's almost like he had a big part in this. And I hate to say it, but I honestly feel like this is Edmonton's last attempt to do something. And I'm not sure that Evander Kane is the answer.
Yeah.
He does, no doubt, have skill, but I think the cancer in the change room outweighs that skill. He's not a superstar by any means. I mean, I could see when he does start playing with them, he'll make some noise. He'll get out there and make a name for himself a little bit and make sure that people know he's there, make his presence felt. Is that going to change anything for the Oilers? Probably not. And I honestly think the Edmonton Oilers I give it 2 seasons away, if that, from Connor McDavid saying, I want out. Yeah. And that'll be the way the Edmonton Oilers rebuild that team, because they're going to take a big fucking haul for Connor McDavid. It's going to be like a boatload of talent and young players and prospects and draft picks to get Connor McDavid away from them.
Unless they have a good team and they believe in that team for that year, for that team a couple years away on his contract year, and they say, listen, we're going to ride or die for a cup with McDavid, and we'll see what happens. Maybe he fucking walks. Who knows? But that's a very interesting thing.
Which is quite possible, because I honestly don't see this team. What did they have? 4 or 5 first-round picks in 7 years? Like something stupid like that. And it's just, you look at it and you think, how in the hell are they still a problem? And I personally think the goalie is a big deal here. They have not been able to solidify a true Stanley Cup contending goalie, or like a performing goalie that's going to steal you games. If Connor McDavid could play in net, I'm sure they'd try him there too, because the guy can do just about anything and everything. And I'm not taking away from Leon Draisaitl, because he's a fantastic, phenomenal player himself. But outside of putting McDavid in net, what else can you do to this team to push them into a contending spot? Because they're not there. McDavid can score all the goals he wants, all the highlight reel goals he wants. At the end of the day, that's not going to win you a cup. And this team it's got problems. And I think the easiest thing for them to do is to hold on to Draisaitl versus McDavid. You'll get a lot more for McDavid. And McDavid, I feel like, is going to be the one to say, I want out. But then again, we saw Draisaitl getting frustrated in his post-game interviews for a couple games in a row. And we saw both of them smashing sticks on the benches and slamming doors. And it's a matter of time before somebody says, okay, we got to change. Something's got to change here at Edmonton, because this isn't good. And I mean, Wayne Gretzky was supposed to be untradeable too. And look at what happened.
Yep.
And that was crazy, because Edmonton had won 4 Stanley Cups, and then bye-bye Gretzky, and then he never wins a cup again. In this case, they are not winning a Stanley Cup. And it's like, you would think McDavid is the answer, but it just goes to show one player will not win you a cup.
No.
2 players will not win you a cup. They are an amazing duo between him and Draisaitl, but Evander Kane is not going to bring you.
Teams win you cups, man, not individual
Exactly. And Evander
players.
Kane is not the answer. Edmonton, I don't know what the hell you guys were thinking.
A goalie, or a step up on defense, or third and fourth line scoring is the answer. That's what it is.
Well,
Evander Kane is going to go slot in on the first or second line, and you're still not going to have scoring from your third and fourth line, and you still have Mike Smith and fucking Koskinen in net. Yeah. They're not winning you a Stanley Cup. I'm sorry.
No, 100%. So, yeah, Kane, not sure. I think we all may have potentially went too quick on judging Kane because apparently he got sole custody of his daughter, which says a lot. So I think there's a little bit of issues with his baby's mom that may have blown things out of proportion. They were not able to prove or find enough substantial evidence that suggested he was throwing games or betting on games. There was an interview, kind of one-on-one interview the other night with him, and he did admit to making some stupid decisions when he crossed over into Canada after breaking COVID protocol. And they said, did you have trouble getting over? And he said, no, I had no problem getting over. I'm Canadian and I don't see what the issue was, but maybe I made the wrong decision in going. But there's other reasons that I can't speak of right now. And he kind of left it up in the air. So there's obviously issues. There's obviously stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, probably going through the courts right now between him and his daughter's mom. But judging him just based on his character on the ice and what we heard from San Jose players about him in the change room, I don't know that this is going to be the right move for Edmonton. It's a small gamble they're taking, but it's not going to be a changing player that's going to make this team better, at least not for a cup run or anything like that. So, I don't know where they were going with that. And it was kind of like you knew it was coming because a few weeks ago they interviewed McDavid about it. It was kind of like nobody else wants Kane. Nobody wants that in their change room. Nobody wants to take that gamble. So someone stepped up, and it was Edmonton. I have no hopes for it. I'm curious to see how it's going to develop, but I don't think that's the answer for them. And I think that's it'll be quite entertaining to see what kind of an impact he has, if any, joining the Oilers. Because, I think it's weird. It was a weird move.
The other thing with the Oilers, man, is even their defense. Like, you're looking at Darnell Nurse and Duncan Keith and Tyson Barrie to carry that defense. Tyson Barrie is not a good defenseman. He's a good point-producing defenseman, and he can pass McDavid and Draisaitl the puck on the power play or 5-on-5, get out of situations quickly. But he's not going to go into a corner with Landeskog and McKinnon and go win you a puck battle, or Austin Matthews and Nylander. Maybe Nylander. I'll give him that. But there's just certain players that Keith is a little too old now. He doesn't have the foot speed. He's still a great defenseman. Still has good vision. And then Darnell Nurse is probably their best defenseman all around right now. And Darnell Nurse is by no means like a top fucking 10 or 15 NHL defenseman in the league. I would argue maybe top 20. But a good NHL team that's contending for a Stanley Cup, or the chance to get to a Stanley Cup anyway for an appearance, has one of those big top defensemen on their team, man. And that being said, I might sound a little bit hypocritical right now, or contradictory, but with Morgan Rielly being our best defenseman for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But at the end of the day, Morgan Rielly, as Leaf fans know, he is pretty consistent when, to me, Morgan Rielly kind of goes by the year. This year, he's having a good year. He's consistent. Last year, not so much. The year before, not so much. The year before that, Norris caliber year. So he's a little bit hot and cold. Not so much every other month or whatever it is, but hot and cold as in the years. And I think that Morgan Rielly's really come into his own. I think he's a stabilized, consistent defenseman, and this is what you're going to get from Morgan Rielly you're not going to see anything better or anything worse for the next 5 years with Morgan Rielly. And I think that he's at a pretty persistent and consistent level right now of play. So that being said, I would argue that Morgan Rielly would be a top 15 defenseman. Mm-hmm. And but you also have Brody and you also have Muzzin, who's just hard to play against too, especially come playoff time. Wish we haven't had Muzzin really too much in the last couple of years for playoffs. He's usually injured. That's got to change. And anyways, away from the Leafs, we're talking about Edmonton's defensemen, but there's just a team dynamic there that they don't have, and they're missing a few different pieces. And when you have the best player in the world, arguably, and then arguably the second to third best player in the world on your team, you got to do something. And it's not like these guys are 22 or 23, like you said, Archie. They're in the primes of their careers. They're about 24, 25 years old now. It is fucking go time. And Edmonton's got to do something. And I speak that out of just being a fan of the NHL, but as a Leaf fan, I hope they crash and burn. straight up, and just like any other team. I like seeing the struggles just because I feel like what Archie just said there in his last response about McDavid and Draisaitl and the Edmonton Oilers. I think that they have a window of about 2 more years, and I think McDavid maybe fucking walks via trade or walks at free agency. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. So we will step away from the NHL. Well, indirectly step away from the NHL with this one now. I know you're interested in talking about it. Your hat there says it all as well. Team Canada heading into Beijing 2022. It was up and down whether NHL players were going to be there or not. We now know there's not going to be any NHL players, or at least none current. So Canada releases their roster. I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled a little bit here. I know this slim pickings considering our best players are all in the NHL, but Josh Ho-Sang. I mean, I'm happy to see him going.
What the? Okay. Before you continue with the team, can you just talk about Josh Ho-Sang really quick and what the fuck's going on with him and the Maple Leafs, him and the Marlies, contract stuff, and then him making the fucking Team Canada roster? Please explain to people what the hell is going on here.
So Josh Ho-Sang signed with the Marlies. When he signed the deal with Toronto, it was with the Marlies. It was a one-way deal.
It was a one-way contract.
Yeah, with the Marlies. With the Marlies, in 27 games, he's got 20 points, including 11 goals. And he's been a hell of a player, a hell of a leader on that team. So in order for him to come play for Toronto, he's got to essentially negotiate a deal with the Leafs at the NHL level. And because of cap restraints, they're in no position to even be able to do that if they wanted to, let alone roster spots. Who do you pull out, right? So there's that. He's not going to play for the Leafs right now. And as a result, he is eligible to play for Team Canada because he's not an NHL signed player. He does not have any contractual agreements with the NHL. So it's kind of a loophole. I mean, it's great. I'm happy to see him go represent Team Canada. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt, and hopefully this helps him get even better. And maybe he could be our taxi squad if somehow the Leafs can mess around with numbers and get him on the roster. So yeah, that's on Josh Ho-Sang. I mean, I can't wait to see what he does for Team Canada. He's having a hell of a year. I could see him getting an A for Team Canada because there really isn't much out there in the rest of the roster. I mean, Eric Stahl is on this team. He's probably going to be the captain, I would assume.
100%.
Yeah.
Eric Stahl's got to be he's got to be the captain. There's no fucking way. There's no way.
I'm going to shoot some names at you, and you're going to tell me what. I just want to see your face, your reaction. I'll know whether or not you agree or disagree. So Daniel Winnick, former Toronto Maple Leaf, is
on
Team Canada. Jordan Wheel, former Toronto Marley, on Team Canada. Adam Tambellini. I didn't even know the guy was still playing hockey.
I don't even know who he is, to be honest.
Ben Street. No clue. Eric Stahl. Eric Odell.
Don't know.
Mason McTavish.
Yeah. Team
Good name.
Canada, baby. The juniors.
Cool with that. Jack McBain. Corbin Knight. Josh Hosang. Landon Ferrero. Ray Ferrero's son.
Yeah. He played a few games for Boston.
Yep. Some high expectations there. I don't mind seeing that name. David Desharnais.
Wow.
Believe, is he a Montreal Canadiens prospect, if I'm not mistaken?
David Desharnais, dude, he's played in the NHL.
That's what I'm saying. Like, didn't he play for them at some point, or maybe?
I think he played for Montreal like years ago.
Yeah, Adam Cracknell.
I've heard that name.
I've heard the last name.
Yeah.
And Daniel Carr. Those are our forwards. So I recognize maybe 3 to 5 names on that list. This looks worse than a Spengler Cup roster right now.
Yeah.
On defense.
At least you had like Tyler Ennis and Mason Raymond in a fucking Spengler Cup.
Right. On defense, Mark Barberio.
Don't know him.
Jason Demers. I know the name.
No, we know Demers.
Brandon Gormley.
I've heard of Gormley before, but nothing.
I don't know.
Nothing significant about him or anything. So,
Alex Grant. No clue. Maxime Noro. No idea. Owen Power.
Let's go, name. Owen Power. What a fucking what a junior friggin' Canadians. Yeah. What a performance that kid had, man. We only got to see him for 2 games, but Buck, you look good. You look real good.
Yeah. Big player to have there. Matt Robinson and Tyler Witherspoon, who we also know as well.
Reese Witherspoon's son.
Then your goalies. Devin Levy, which we saw in the juniors.
Yeah.
Edward Pasquale.
Don't know him.
Sounds like he's an Italian guy. I don't know. And Matt Tompkins.
Don't know.
So
altogether, we have about, give or take, about 8 players that are recognizable, and then fucking like 16 players we have no idea who they are.
Yeah, so this may very well be the most fair tournament that anybody could potentially win, based on the fact that I don't even know where I was going with that, because like we haven't seen the NHL players in the Olympics in a while.
Yeah.
And
so it's not, and you got to think, obviously Canada's put this roster together. So Sweden, USA, and Russia and Finland, Czech Republic, USA, they're going to have to put some kind of fucking quirky roster together as well. You know what I mean? And I feel like, I do feel like Russia will probably have the upper hand this tournament just because of the KHL guys, man. Absolutely. I really feel like it. I feel like Russia could take it this year.
Absolutely, no doubt. And that's the thing, like, this is legitimately a Spengler Cup roster that Canada is sending out there.
Like, you don't think that even like Pavel Datsyuk or Ilya Kovalchuk are like, hey, we're only 40, but we'll come play against Cracknell on defense, for fuck's sakes. Like, let's go.
Yeah, and again, I'm very confused. And now I'm looking at the U.S. roster, and
Brad Richards.
The U.S. roster is even more confusing. I don't know, man. Like,
do you know? Can you name any names that are relevant?
So they've only got 6 players with NHL experience. And I'm not talking like superstar NHL experience. They got Nick Shore.
Okay, I remember that.
Kenny Agostino.
Yeah.
Where's the other guy there? Steven Kampfer, apparently played in the NHL. David Warsofsky and Andy Miele. Like, these are not by any means superstar NHL experienced players.
Oh man,
they have less. Yeah, I don't know what is going on. They're goalies. I don't even know who they are, and it's just.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Interesting. It's an amateur tournament. Like, it's going to be a very different tournament.
I'm telling you right now, the most disappointing. I think that you know what would make this tournament for Canadians really exciting, really special? If Connor Bedard fucking made the team, man. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Connor Bedard at 16 representing the National Olympic fucking Team Canada team, and he goes in there and he pops a few fucking goals for the boys, and he's, oh my God, I can't believe they left him out, man. They should have called him, but I guess that it's the national team. I guess you have to be fucking 18 or up.
Yeah, so he doesn't qualify for it, which sucks because he would have, especially because he was having an amazing junior tournament.
Oh fuck!
And then
you see how much more comfortable he got that second game, man. Like he looked like he was out there playing pawn hockey with no worries in the world, man. It's fucking incredible.
And then they killed it, irresponsibly killed the tournament like absolute morons. They could have delayed it. They could have moved it to another location in the U.S. They could have done so much to keep that tournament alive.
Yeah,
and they just destroyed it. Like this, I don't even want to get into the politics behind all this COVID shit, but like it destroyed the tournament because the rules they enforced were just ridiculous. If a player tested positive on Team A was out, as well as the previous team they played and the fucking team they were going to play next. Like it was just stupid especially because they were all staying pretty much in the same hotel. The referees were all the same. The arena staff were all the same. What a dumb fucking way to end a tournament that was going so well. And it's unfortunate because Canada probably would have won it. But it just killed it for all these kids. You know, Bedard still has a chance. He's only 16, right? But I mean,
yeah,
the way they ended it was just so stupid and reckless of them.
I'm going to be totally, I mean, I don't want to get into too much political shit, but I'm just going to give a fucking opinion and people can take it how they want. But I'm just going to say, you know what? They just shouldn't have fucking went and got tested, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? Right? Like, yeah, and to me that goes for like the whole fucking COVID shit. I mean, the only way COVID is gonna last is if you fucking keep going and getting fucking tested if you have a fucking sniffle, and because not every test is gonna be negative or positive, like 100% factual. You know what I mean? Or 100% proof. There's faulty fucking tests that show that you're negative or positive or whatever, and it's just like, man, like this is the NHL. Like, let me put it to you this way. This is the Olympics. They were already in like a bubble or whatever. So I know that the kids had to go get tested and everything. And I understand that was part of the agreement of doing this tournament. But then I think about this. I think about you have the NFL, the National Football League, okay? Yeah. You think that they are having their 45-man rosters fucking tested for COVID? Do you really think that? Because there is no way, if they are playoff teams, that if 10 of them get COVID or 20 of them and it's a wild spread, there is no way they're disclosing that information. They are keeping that hush hush, and they are playing the fucking game because it's money. And it's bigger, and football in America is bigger than fucking life itself. So I just think about shit like that, and it's just like, what the hell, man? Like, you have full stadiums and full fucking NFL teams suiting up, and then at the same time that the Canadian Junior Olympics were happening, and then all of a sudden you have 10, 15, 20 kids getting tested for COVID, and then I guess that it doesn't happen in the United States within the walls of NHL or NFL teams. So I don't know, a little bit of a gray area, a little bit of a, just a little bit of a conversation to have about it, and an opinion, obviously. But it is too bad that we're still dealing with all this shit. I mean, I've got vaccinated and everything. I honestly, I thought that we were moving in the right direction, and I guess we still are, but I'm still waiting for this thing to die. We're basically in like almost a semi-lockdown right now, where me and Archie are right now in Toronto and Ontario. Bars are closed, restaurants are closed, and it's like 50% capacity or whatever it is to go shopping. So it's still very much real. It's still here, and it's 2 years in. So I'm hoping that it lifts soon and we get back to normal, which is pre-COVID, and it is what it is. But outside of that, we were talking about Team Canada. Nonetheless, it's the Olympics. I'm excited to watch still. I guess I'm going to be looking at Eric Stahl and Owen Power a lot. Excited to see what Owen Power looks like. Good on Buffalo. They're going to have Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power back there. So, they're going to have that steady defensive line for the next like 5, 6, 7 years. And that's exciting. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. And then a little bit off topic, but still on the topic of Canada. How about that Team Canada men's soccer team, guys? For anybody who follows, guys, they are making fucking history.
Yep.
They won the game last night 2-0. They are now 5-4, undefeated in World Cup qualifying, still sitting on top of the group, 1 point ahead of the US, 2 points ahead of Mexico. Top 3 advance and qualify for the World Cup. 4th team goes into a playoff round where they'll try to advance. As of right now, the next game Canada plays is against the US. Any point we can salvage there is huge. A win would be absolutely massive for Canada.
And hopefully Alphonso Davies is back by then.
I think he's been ruled out for this run of games because of myocarditis, which is insane as a result of COVID.
Yeah.
But they're showing that they can win games without him. Jonathan David scored an unbelievable goal last night for them to make it 2-0. They're making history. This is unheard of to see Canada do this in soccer. I'm born in Italy, huge Italian fan in soccer for the World Cup. Italy's potentially not going to qualify because they are currently in a playoff to be able to qualify. I'm excited because they've given another opportunity to Super Mario Balotelli to come back and make an attempt to be a hero again for Italy. But aside from that, knowing that I potentially have a second team here to be proud of, and I feel like there's more to be proud of for Canada, even if they just qualify.
Absolutely.
To be able to say they got to that stage is unbelievable. Puts Canada back on the map when it comes to soccer. Well deserving of it. So it's exciting times. Again, their next game is against the US, which is going to be a huge game to watch. So
where is that game being held?
In Hamilton, dude. It's being played here.
When?
It is on, I believe, Sunday matches. Canada plays US. Yes, this Sunday, January 30th in Hamilton.
This fucking Sunday.
It's going to be a cold motherfucking day. A
So
cold
wait. Hold on. So there's going to be no fans.
Correct.
Because that it lifts 50% capacity Monday. Fuck!
Which is bullshit.
Bullshit.
Absolute bullshit. So Canada-US play in Hamilton with no fucking fans this Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Potentially one of the biggest games in international history for Canada. And nobody's going to be there to watch it.
Holy fuck.
Which sucks. So, big game to watch on TV on Sunday, guys. If you're not doing anything, support Canada, support them because this is a big deal for them. Touching a little bit on the politics, this whole truck convoy thing.
So wait, hold on, Archie, really quickly. If Canada gets a point from USA, how many more qualifying games is there?
So right now, including the US game, there are still 5 games to be played. So there's still quite a few.
Okay.
But this game against the US is pivotal because if they beat them, they really extend that gap between first and second place.
Okay.
Because then Canada goes on to play El Salvador, which should be a win as well. Costa Rica is going to be a tough one. Jamaica is going to be a tough one because Jamaica's fighting to stay alive. And then they end it with Panama. So, I mean, this is a big, big big game. Even if they salvage a point with a tie, but a win would be massive to extend that lead over the U.S.
Okay.
But yeah, so now just touching base a bit on this truck convoy, whether you agree with it or not, or the purpose behind it, I think it is one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen in my life. When they first talked about it, I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to be this big. This thing is massive, and it has now gotten to the point where I just read on the news, Italy and Australia have now supported by also starting their own truck convoy in Europe in support of what's started here in Canada. So we've got the support of the U.S., sending a shit ton of truckers up north, and you got overseas in Italy and Australia showing support as well. This is history. This is a big thing. This is something that's going to be in history books way down the line, whether or not they succeed in getting our freedom back, because that is the purpose of it. They're fighting for the freedom. They're fighting for everybody's rights to get back to living life and being normal again. But it is something else to see, like watching all these video clips online of people standing on bridges, on the sides of highways, just sitting there, bringing them food and coffee and raising money and just supporting this. And it's like unbelievable seeing the country come together like this, hopefully in the end for a good cause, as they reach Ottawa this weekend. And they are going to be making a lot of noise in Ottawa. This is probably going to be the loudest Ottawa's ever been in the history of its existence as part of Canada. And yeah, I would love to be there for a moment just to see what it's like.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is going to be absolute mayhem in Ottawa this weekend. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that at all. I know it's politics and sometimes we don't want to talk about it, but
honestly, you said it all. It's a historical moment, so we'll see how it unfolds. And yeah, like at the end of the day, like I'll be honest, I've got vaccinated and everything, but I do believe in human rights and freedoms too. So I'm on the page of support of kind of like, let's get life back together here. And I've always thought, you know what, I've went as far as to get vaccinated, and I've even got the booster shot recently. So just let people at this point of the pandemic and COVID-19 spread, let people decide if they want to go and sit down at a restaurant or if they want to go shopping without a mask. And the people that are really, really terrified of it still and whatever, that are vaccinated or not, then live your life the way you want to, and maybe don't go to those places and or, you know, find a way to kind of stay away and be a little bit safer and try different alternatives for maybe eating out or whatever. But at the end of the day, it is human rights, and you only live once on the earth, right? And when something's taken away from you, which is a big part of your freedom of being able to go to a restaurant and sit down, or going grocery shopping, and just anything, you know, staying out late past 12 a.m. and having a party or having a limited amount of people. And you know what I mean? Just there's so many different things and laws that have come into effect over COVID. And I think people just really want to get back to, okay, government, we've listened. We've done what you've told us to do, but listen, it's time to move on from this and let people and let everyone just live their lives with freedom and do what they want to do. And as far as I'm concerned, if you want to live your life as free as you can right now, then if you go and you get sick and whatever, that's your own choice. You know what I mean? If not, and you don't get sick, well, then that's great. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. I'll tell you right now, like, I'm just kind of doing my thing, and good Canadian kid here. I've been on the pond playing pond hockey with a lot of my friends every weekend, and just maintaining the frozen pond and getting together and having beers and having barbecues and stuff. And that's what makes me happy. That's what makes the people I hang out with happy, and we're not going to stop doing that. So there's a little bit of a freedom right in there, and we're probably not even supposed to have a gathering over whatever the capacity is, or maximum 10 people. We've had 20 guys at the rink just hanging out, having fun and laughing, and we're all showing up there tomorrow too. So that being said, it is what it is, and everyone live their life and be as happy as you can.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. So with that, guys, thank you again for joining us for our first episode of 2022. Thanks again for everybody who sent kind words over during the last half of the year there at the end of the month. And again, huge thank you to supporting people who continue to watch and ask about the show. We're back. We will be back continued next Friday as well, and we'll continue on with the show. Again, we'd love to hear from you, so feel free to join us every week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We're here. We're live, uncensored, unedited, and you know us. I mean, we're Leaf biased. We're heavy Leaf fans, but we'll talk about anything and everything. And just before we get off here, Daniel Bakley says, loving the facial hair, Wade.
Thanks, everybody.
So, yeah, thanks again, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you next week. Wade.
Guys, it's a pleasure. Thanks, Archie, for getting it together. And it's good to be back, guys. We'll be back to talk a little bit more about hockey. Team, obviously, the Olympics are happening too. So there's some more sports going on outside of hockey. Winter Olympics is a huge thing for Canada. So we'll be touching base, I bet you, a little tiny bit with that. But it is mid-season and the AllStar Game is coming upon us. And it should be exciting. So whoever you're a fan of, good luck for your teams, and we'll definitely keep you updated with what we think is going to happen with them, if there's trades, if there's Stanley Cup predictions for them, if there's whatever, that we keep you up to date with it all, man. We love to talk about it. So take care. It's Friday, TGIF, and stay safe, everyone.
And as always, go Leafs, go, guys. Have a good one.